Hi, Taurus. Welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your mid-October 2025 love reading. Thanks to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's what I call the bridge and the gap spread. And the way it works is we'll look at the past, present, future energies between you and the main love interest. Then we'll pull oracle cards to help with the bridge and the gap dynamic. As far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, on the right side we have the Romantic Tarot. Also, keep in mind it's a general reading, so I'm going to be referring to the cards on the left as the energy and the cards on the right as the other person's. If you feel it's the way around in your situation, then definitely trust that. Alright, so with all that out of the way, we'll get started. Past energy on your side, we have the Prince of Staves. So this is the equivalent of the Knight of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy. And yeah, it could just be saying in the past you might have had a bit of a light approach to the connection. Maybe you were 1 foot in, 1 foot out, to where maybe there was interest there, but I don't necessarily feel like you were feeling like, oh, this is a connection that's going to go the distance, So on the one hand, you were drawn to the person, but you also, I feel like you weren't necessarily convinced that this would be your permanent connection. Right. Past energy on their side, we have the Empress. So even with that said, though, I feel like you might have been more likely to have been the one who initiated things between the two of you in a connection, because with this Empress energy here, this is usually someone who's more staying in a passive role, more receptive, more than likely. So to me, this is the more than likely you were the one who initiated things, and then maybe for some of you that also could be why you weren't necessarily fully sold on it, because this person might have been the type who just constantly expected to be catered to, but not necessarily give a lot back in the connection. Present energy on your side, we have Transformation. So this is the equivalent of the Death card in traditional tarot, which is Scorpio energy. So for some of you, this could be pointing to possibly when we have that full moon coming up in your sign during Scorpio season. But yeah, if that's the case, of course, this could just be saying that ultimately around that time you might feel like you want to just create some distance from this connection. And for some of you, this could also be an indicator that this might be an on again, off again dynamic, or even if you haven't experienced that dynamic in this connection before, it could just be saying that even if you do leave the connection behind, there's a potential it might come back around down the line. All right. Present energy on their side, we have the Two of Pentacles. So this could just be saying that they might actually feel that level of rejection from you, and it might actually take them back to maybe a time when they were younger and they had this old abandonment or rejection wound that might come back to the surface through that process. But yeah, I feel like this is just saying that it's going to trigger that in them potentially, but I don't necessarily see them, doing anything about it at the same time. All right. And in the future position, we have the 10 of Arrows. So this could be pointing to the timing, maybe when we actually have the full moon in Gemini, which would be early December. So could just be saying by then you might actually have a final idea of what you want to do around the connection. So for some of you, it could ultimately be decide to say that you're going to cut your losses and you don't want to be involved with them anymore. But for others of you, you might want to try it again, right? Because we see there's 9 arrows there, which makes you think of the 9 of Swords energy, which is anxiety, losing sleep, overthinking things. And then we see the 1 arrow by itself pointed in the cards on this side's direction. So for some of you, it could be saying that, you might actually decide that you would like to try again, but at the very least, it looks like there's going to be some communication coming up around what you do want to do with the connection. And like I said, it seems more than likely it'd be early December when you make that decision. All right, and future energy on their side, we have the 2 of Cups. So it always catches my attention that we see the spilled jug over there. So it could just be saying that ultimately it seems like they do want to give in the connection, but they just might have some hangups that prevent them from fully showing up the way that they would need to for a relationship to function. And for some of you, it could be pointing to why, like I said, maybe they have this old rejection wound or abandonment wound that might make them a little bit blocked when it comes to giving to a connection the way that they would need to. All right. Bottom of the deck on your side, we have Innocence. So this is the equivalent of the Fool in traditional tarot. It could just be saying that, yeah, ultimately you might have felt this need to take a risk and give this connection a chance. And like I said, it looks like maybe with mixed results there, right? Because like I said, for some of you, you might try again down the line, others of you might decide to cut your losses. But yeah, it says to me that for whatever reason, you might have felt like it was a gamble to enter into the connection to begin with. Bottom of the deck on their side, we have the Magician. So this could be a positive indicator here as far as saying, they might finally find a way to communicate to you around, this shadow aspect of themselves that they're trying to work through. Like I said, where it seems like there might be an old wound that has them blocked off when it comes to relationships. But like this is saying there could be some promise of them actually finally coming through, and maybe even you just getting that clarity will give you a bit more of an idea of, okay, do I want to continue to ride this out or cut my losses? But we'll see what the Oracle cards add to the mix. First, we'll see what we get from the Messages of Love Oracle card decks. I'm just going to give this a few shuffles. All right, we'll take this card. And next, we'll see what we get from the Wisdom Oracle. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles now. Okay, we'll take this card. And we'll take a look at that Messages of Love card first. All right, we have Patience. It says, everything will unfold in divine timing. So, interesting message there, right? Because, like I said, it seems like for some of you, this might take until primarily I'm seeing, like I said, it seems like early December when we would have that Gemini full moon for you to decide which way you want to go with this connection. And maybe centered around that could just be that, yeah, maybe by then this person might open up a little bit more and, through communication, let you know where they really stand, what they're working through, things along those lines there. But yeah, patience seems like it would definitely be required one way or the other in the connection. All right, and we have Message in the Bottle. There's the artwork, and the number is 15. So yeah, this does make me think of the fact that there will be Mercury retrograde coming up in November, so maybe that's part of what's at play with this dynamic as well. All right, the relationship message says you can expect someone to favor you with positive news. This could be in the form of a letter, phone call, or email. You are the intended receiver of this message, so stay open to what you learn. Only good will come of it in the end. The signs are all there. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there, because it does make it seem a little bit more likely that what I was talking about with the Magician could be the case, right? Where through you walking away from the connection and that triggering this wound, this person, it might actually force them to look at it and finally start to do the work that they need to show up in a more positive sense in their connections. So hopefully that resonates with you guys. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.